Welcome to Picks Central, Barstool Sports' daily gambling show. Once again, Brandon Walker out. I just saw a picture actually posted on the Walk the Line social media of Brandon Walker looking decked out in all Rocky Top gear with Hooters girls on the left and right. So it seems like his trip to Atlanta not going so bad. Marty Mush also out. We've got a fun lineup today. First of all, once again, the man coming in on a heater, turning around a 5-0 day yesterday for Big Ev. You got to be feeling good today.
Humble Mincy 4-0.
4-0.
Arizona State got canceled. March is a new month. We're feeling good. Ton of action this month. Got to get started on the right foot.
Awesome. And then his deal currently includes Tuesdays, 3 days a week. Our good friend Rico Bosco joins us. Rico, what's up, man? How are you?
Not great. Fresh off, I think, a 1-5 performance, 1-6. I gave out a parlay last night, similar to you. You were itching me. I'm not a big parlay guy, but you were itching me. It was the March 1st, we need it more than them bubble team parlay. Rutgers, Oregon, UNC. Rutgers and UNC just completely shit the bed.
Yeah. My thing on the Rutgers one, that game came up yesterday. They got blown out at Nebraska. Look, I'm no savant, and I never will be, and I admit that. But those road favorite games like that in conference always scare me.
Oh, absolutely. But you needed to win by the same token. Like, Rutgers had to figure it out.
Yeah.
And they didn't even show up. It was
brutal. And just with Nebraska losing their best player, too. And then, I saw some guy posted a set on Twitter. I saw that basically without him, they were one of the worst three-point shooting teams in all of college basketball. Well, they shot over 50% from three yesterday.
That's what happened to me.
It's tough.
St. Joe's and Dayton the other night. St. Joe's a horrific three-point shooting team. They shot like 50%. They beat the shit out of Dayton.
I was on St. Joe's yesterday.
It just happens. That's college.
They're playing,
St. Joe's. I don't know what happened. It was I know Daly was hurt for a little bit.
Yes.
They've ripped off 3 in a row.
Bro, the A-10.
They just beat Richmond, Dayton, and LaSalle's not great, but
have you seen the A-10 bracket? Richmond's the 8. Richmond was ranked earlier this year.
Yeah, I remember they beat Kentucky. They beat Kentucky down that first game of the year.
The A-10 is a fucking war zone of a tournament.
How many teams do you think they're going to get in the NCAA? 4 or 5?
No.
Yeah, I think only
maybe 2.
So I would say probably Bonaventure. Oh no, did they lose yesterday?
Bonnie's lost.
Did they lose to Dayton yesterday?
They
did,
it was
right?
like 55-50.
Yeah.
It was like a really low score.
So, like, something weird would have to happen. It's Bonnie's, VCU, and Dayton.
VCU will get in, yeah.
And I think it might only be a 1-bid league. The A-10 usually gets 2, though.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you've got teams like URI's down, like Dayton's down. That's some good teams that have been lackluster.
That's a fun
They lost 55-52 to Dayton.
Yes, 55. I thought it was something really low scoring. Some other stuff from last night I want to mention. It was just a unique situation with Oklahoma State playing again, but Oklahoma State gets them again. And Oklahoma State is tied at the top with most quad 1 wins now. They have so many big wins this year. I hope they allow them in the tournament.
They're good, man. It was crazy. I was talking to Rico about before. They were winning the game. Like, Cade Cunningham played very well at the end of the game, kind of closed it out for him. But, I think there was a point late in the first half or early second half, he had 2 points, 4 points, and they were winning.
Took 8 shots.
He's great at the free throw line. Like, he's just clutch.
Yeah, well, he goes by everybody. You're going to get fouled.
That's even, I was saying the second, especially the ending in OT, that first matchup, you just saw the perennial NBA All-Star just jumping off the screen. He's just unreal.
Those kids play really hard for Boynton, too. And that's a testament to him.
Yeah.
Because at any point, Cade Cunningham could have been like, yeah, I'm out of here. Like, fucking Lamborghini's waiting, first-round pick. Fuck you guys. Just don't get hurt. I'm out of here. They play hard, man. You saw him. He was the guy to hold up the Bedlam yesterday. It seems like Boynton connects with those guys. They like him a lot. So, Oklahoma State now, they're talking about being a 4.
They could. If they make a run in the Big 12 tournament, they definitely could. Think they're, 16 or 17 now?
4 or 3. What if they get the top 4, and now nobody wants this 4th 1 seed? If it's Illinois, they're saying tonight. Illinois might lose tonight. They're out. I think the 4th 1 seed is going to be Houston.
I can see that.
Just by fucking last man standing. So you're telling me Oklahoma State gets the number 1 4 seed, Houston gets the worst 1, they line up because it's true brackets this year. Oklahoma State would be a favorite in that game.
Honestly,
and I like Houston.
Honestly, as crazy as it sounds, I mean, if Oklahoma State could make a run, they could even get probably higher than that.
Right.
If they if they say they made it to like the final of the Big 12 tournament, they could find their way as a 3. I mean, like I said, I think they're 16, 17 right now ranked. I mean, if they go beat a couple more good teams, I don't see why they couldn't even be a 3.
Absolutely. The Big 12 is 3 ranked games. If from the quarterfinal, semis, and final, you're playing 3 ranked
That's
teams.
what I'm saying. Basically, to get there, they have
exactly.
to knock 3 more quad. If they had 12 quad 1 wins, that'd be
Without
insane.
a doubt.
Some other stuff from last night I want to touch on. Were y'all surprised? You were on Syracuse with me.
I was.
Okay.
No, I took UNC.
UNC. What'd y'all think? I just was curious what y'all
This
thought
guy, I don't.
You middle. What was your middle?
I middled it. Hit on the buzzer.
I've never hit a
Did you see
I've never
that?
hit a middle
I tweeted it. I've never felt so sharp in my life. At halftime, I tweeted out.
I saw that. I'm like, this ain't gonna end well for him. Nobody middles at Barstool. No one middles at Barstool.
And Cuse even at one point was up like 12. I'm like, oh, like I just cost myself a winner. I'm an asshole. This guy, Kennedy, or what's his name? Brooks.
Yeah.
Hits at the buzzer. It hits one of those like off the rim like 3 times. Falls in, had plus 3.5 to lose by 2. Unbelievable. I've never felt sharper in my life.
That game should have gone to overtime if he hits the free throws.
Yeah. I mean, Cuse did. They kind of did almost everything they could to blow that game.
Didn't miss.
In the first half, he was
fucking
unconscious.
Unbelievable.
That's why I love the middle, because I mean they had hit 7 threes. UNC was 0 for 10 from 3. They're only down 6. I was like, they're gonna get back in this game.
Sometimes that Carrier Dome, the sight lines are weird for the 3-point shooters, and so when you play in that empty dome, when you're used to playing in arenas, you see teams struggle. And Syracuse runs the 2-3 zones, and they hit a lot of threes.
They've historically played so well. I think now they're like 11-1 or something at home, or like 10-1 this year.
Really?
Or something like that. They're crazy home record.
It wouldn't be March if Syracuse wasn't on the bubble.
No.
Yeah, especially
it's a tradition like no other. It's the best.
I mean, they're such a dangerous team. If they're like a 10 seed, so dangerous.
Yeah, them and Michigan State are always the two you just never want to see. And
I
then
think Michigan State sealed their fate, though. I think they're dead.
Do you?
Yeah.
That was a horrible effort. They got the big one tonight. Their favorite. Well,
I don't think they're. I just think with how in the Big 12 and the Big 10, those bubble teams, I just think with the tournament still in there, they're not dead because they can easily go rip off 2-3 big wins and then bang, they're back. And Michigan State's obviously they're a team that they want in the tournament. They can give them a reason to.
They're just bad on offense, though.
Yeah, they just don't. It's weird. Kentucky, Duke, and Michigan State. It just seems like they recruited the wrong guys. Just happen. I mean, it happens. There's nobody's great on those teams.
There's a lot of variance and relying a ton on the 18-year-olds too, year after year.
Yeah.
I think that's a big factor.
Yeah, there's a fucking. I think I said it to you. The quote from an old coach. It was like, "Why do you not trust your players?" He's like, "Those are 18-year-old kids dribbling my paycheck up and down the court." He's like, "Would you fucking trust them?"
Especially because everyone kind of thinks of those years like, say, like the Anthony Davis year. And those are the year, obviously, like, you just strike gold with that team. Especially with a superstar like that who is willing to just kind of, like, play his role, like, doesn't need to shoot all the time. Obviously, he's developed crazy on the offense side of the ball. But, I mean, everyone looks at that year, but it's like that's a once-in-a-decade type team like that.
And if you look at some of these McDonald's All-Americans, they're starting to spread out. Michigan's getting 3. Alabama's, I think, getting another one.
I've been saying, like, I just think it's now more, like, I think we were talking about with Arkansas, that it's like, why are they not a destination over, like, obviously Duke, UNC, all these, they have just that tradition type thing, but it's like going to Durham, North Carolina. Like, I don't see why Arkansas, like a great college town, Oklahoma State, these teams like that are plucking these guys. Like, I don't see why they went, or Alabama, you just brought up all these teams, all these like great college towns. Like, they got everything to offer you that at this point that Duke and Kentucky does.
Oh yeah, everybody's. That's why like old timers like us, St. John's is never like all fathers like how's St. John's not good. It's because you go to Arizona, you have a PlayStation 5 in your fucking locker. You go to St. John's, like it's the facilities.
But even
what are they selling you on? Playing 4 games at the Garden?
Going
like
deeper than that, even like Arizona State, like any of these two, like you're talking about all like nice apartment complexes with pools. Like I've seen Ohio State, like all these super nice apartment complexes, pools, crazy good facilities. Like they don't have that at St. John's.
They don't.
No, it is true that they have so much money that these programs. You mentioned Arkansas. Rico, I know you're a big Musselman guy.
Huge.
I saw the big comeback against LSU Saturday. They got a trap one tonight that I think is interesting. It's a 6.5 point favorite. South Carolina has been struggling a lot, but they.
It's me that one.
I blew that.
I looked and I'm like, I'm like, because we said it, I think, like Thursday or Friday.
I lost that game.
You're like, South Carolina's awful, so I took Georgia.
And then
Even as bad as Georgia is, but I know Georgia can score.
And they killed them.
South Carolina killed them. I think because of that, they know it's a trap. Arkansas's on my card tonight. First half of the game.
Okay.
They're just too talented.
That one, look, I wasn't sure what to think, and that Arkansas's coming off such an emotional big win on Saturday.
Tell me
the quick road trip.
What's probably the sharp side? It's probably South Carolina. But can I back them? No. So I'm taking Arkansas.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely jumps out as short, but I'm not going to bet the game probably. If I did, I guess the way I've been betting all year, it would be South Carolina. Just because it seems like a line to me that should be like 9, maybe 8.5, 9. It's 6.5.
Yeah.
It's just weird. Like South Carolina, they haven't been very good, but they've shown those weird flashes. Like they gave, didn't they give Bama a good game? They gave some. Obviously, this would be Georgia. They gave a couple like some.
I think they lost
tight games.
Yeah, they fought Bama, I think. But yeah, I don't know. It's just SEC, so such a weird conference. There's a bunch of interesting matchups tonight. Kentucky, Kentucky's not even going to make the NIT. In Oxford tonight,
No.
Ole Miss does not beat Kentucky very often, so I'm hoping we get to see it, even if the Rebels aren't headed to the postseason either.
No. Yeah, for a little, it looked like Ole Miss was going to make this one.
Yeah, we blew. I mean, just losing Vandy Saturday. Ole Miss loses as an 8.5-point favorite at Vandy, who doesn't even have Pippen's son. I mean, it was just a horrendous effort, and it just comes down to if you can't score points, it's hard to win on the road consistently. And like Ole Miss plays so hard on defense, it plays hard for their coach, but it's a struggle to get to 60 every game. It's tough.
Especially we were talking about before too. Like today's basketball, you just got to knock down shots. Mm-hmm. You got to have a few guys in your team that can consistently knock down shots. You're not gonna make it far like that.
No, not at all. I want to look at this card pretty in depth tonight because it's a big one, and I have like 9 plays today. I guess I'm feeling a little heat.
Rolling?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be honest.
I think I got 4 or 5.
I got destroyed for quite a minute, and it's just funny. And I talked about this on the show yesterday, Rico, and you know this, obviously, because when you're in a public segment giving out picks, man, you're only as good as the ones that are yesterday or the week before.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I mean, it's like people are just like tailgating on my Twitter on Saturday for my picks when I'm hot for a week. I was like, I couldn't give these damn things away a week ago.
That's how it goes.
When you're hot, you're hot. You got to capitalize.
Exactly.
You got to let everyone know you're hot. You got to tell them you're hot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just
like you said, 1, 2, and 5, they forget about it.
It's just so funny, though, how quick it's like nobody remembers 2 weeks or a month ago. It's just all in the moment. How'd you do yesterday? How'd you do last week? And it's too funny. Oh, yeah, Baylor, West Virginia. I want to hear what y'all think about this game tonight because it's fascinating. I have West Virginia on my card, but it is a bounce-back spot for Baylor. However, I think they're just struggling still off the COVID thing.
I'm on West Virginia.
Okay.
Because they're at home. I also think West Virginia's been, like, quietly, West Virginia's 6th in the country now.
Yep.
Not necessarily quietly, but for a little while, you're like, West Virginia's – they never crossed over. They struggled a little bit. They never crossed over to, like, where you thought they were bad. It's just like, all right, they lost the game. They've lost to Texas by, like, 2. They're always in these close games. West Virginia at home. I also think I know it's Brandon's take. Baylor may have peaked. Does that sound crazy?
No, I think this COVID hit
he
so late.
He texted me, and now I'm like, fuck, it's in my head. Like,
well, no, but the thing is, this COVID break is so late in the year. Like, everybody's been dealing with them, and I know we saw Michigan dealt with one and got over it real quick. But this happened, and they have, like, 2 or 3 games, and then it's conference tournament, NCAA tournament.
Theirs was long, too. I think theirs was, like, 3 weeks.
Yeah, people forgot about them for a while. And then the other thing that's in my head, too, is Bill has said it on the broadcast. Baylor has no surefire first-round picks. Jared Butler can go towards the end of the first round.
I was going to say late first.
Okay,
yeah.
He'll probably go in the first round. But off of that, I don't know. Is that the difference? Now, I don't know. I'm taking West Virginia plus the points. It's probably the wrong side because Baylor has been really good. But West Virginia with a plus number, who's been the more consistent team this year, I'll take West Virginia.
See, I think Baylor is still being in Vegas because they've been so dominant. I mean, they were averaging like their wins in the Big 12 were about an average like 24 before they came back from COVID. I think that they're still struggling coming back from COVID. They're rusty, and the line should be like Baylor by 1. And I think West Virginia's got some value.
Right.
So I would say kind of the devil's advocate, the line not being 1 is what makes me kind of like Baylor. Because I think, me and Rico talked about before too, I think it's that what are they, 3 versus 6? I think I listen to I just kind of think of it like this. People on kind of like a paper, like square type, which I don't get to in like square shot, whatever. The winning pick's the winning pick. But when you just kind of look at the board and you see, 3 versus 6, they're at home catching 4.5. I almost was saying, I think it almost is kind of like a reverse rat, where it's like the reason they're catching 4.5, Baylor's good still. And now it's like they had an off game. They barely beat Iowa State. Just got kind of not blown out, but they played awful against Kansas. Now it's a spot where it's like, all right, they're actually playing a very good team on the road. Why is it not a pick'em type game if they're still kind of slumpy? I see what you're saying about them still kind of being valued in Vegas with how dominant they were before the COVID thing. It's not on my card. I'm probably going to play Baylor.
No, I see. Well, the other thing, too, is maybe we missed the party by not having Kansas on Saturday. You know, and you look at, Kansas.
That was idiotic that I took fucking Baylor.
Kansas. When's the last time Kansas has been catching 3.5 at Fog Allen? When the hell has that happened?
They don't lose on senior day. That's the other thing, too. They won like 38 in a row, is Jake's stat. I wanted to look this up.
That's a wild stat, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Baylor's been struggling really bad from 3 the last couple of games, and West Virginia holds its opponents to 32.1% from 3. So if West Virginia can control the 3-point line again, I like them. Now that's, it goes back to the St. Joe's thing we talked about, the Dayton, like at any point teams could just hit fucking 14 threes right in your face.
Also,
that's basketball.
And I definitely
the stats point to West Virginia to me.
And I definitely see now in a game like this where it's probably, you think, tight game, I'd probably rather, like, just off the top of my head, I'm like, I'd rather have the points in a game that I think is close. I'm just like, I just think it's kind of the reverting where too many people, I feel like, are going to be jumping back on West Virginia and are just kind of like
sometimes
just completely cashing out their chips on Baylor. It's like maybe this is the one where it's like everyone was on them against Kansas. Now everyone's off them. I'm kind of more, I'll get on them now.
When the home dog becomes a little obvious, I still am on it, but I know.
Because, I'd be curious to see the public numbers. Public dogs die.
Yeah.
I'd be very curious to see how the public's betting this game. I could still see him being on Baylor, but.
I got a DM from a guy who's been pretty sharp with Big 12 stuff, like just a fan. And he goes, you kind of were shitting on Jay Wright a little bit. And if you look at Villanova's resume, if he doesn't win that title, they're pretty upset with him at Nova. First round exit, Sweet 16 exits, they were in trouble. He goes, Scott Drew's been just as fraudulent. Yale, first round exit. Georgia State, first round exit.
The buzzer beater.
This is the same team that lost 3 of 5 to end last year when they were like really at the top last year. So he's like, just be careful of all this Baylor love.
That's valid.
As a fan, I've seen it.
That's valid.
So I'm like, oh, it's interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, shout out Kyle Resnick is the kid's name. He's been a sharp kid.
Illinois, Michigan tonight. Any thoughts on that? This Michigan team's like such a train right now.
Marty's breaking news that Io's playing.
Io's playing. The line went from 7.5 to 6.5.
Makes sense.
I had Michigan on my card earlier.
I love Michigan.
Steven with Io playing?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I just think they're an absolute wagon right now.
I'm going to pass. I thought the line was like, I still think Illinois could fight and stay in that number, down 4 and at the end of a game or cut it, down 6 down and you're in the number, you're fighting, they're playing the whole way. But yeah, I think Ev's freaking me out now. The line should be, the fact that it's this low screams Michigan. I think it's a reverse. I'm a reverse in my brain too. Michigan's been really good.
And just playing off, just obviously the Ohio State-Michigan game, we played so well in that game and still lost. I mean, Dwayne Washington shot the ball. Obviously, a lot of it was late, too, but he shot the ball out of his mind. Liddell played unreal. Like, we had a great shooting performance and still lost like that. I mean, like, if Illinois, outside of Ayo and Coburn, don't show up, I mean, they'll get blown out at the gym, especially in Michigan.
Yeah.
The line being so big is what I love Michigan. Love Michigan.
I also think the key is if Michigan can get into Illinois' bench and get them into some foul trouble, Illinois is in serious trouble, especially with Iowa with the injury. But even before that, they're like 6 deep, 7 deep.
No,
you look at their
Michigan's
box scores,
much deeper.
Michigan should try to get to the line, draw some fouls, and then Illinois is fucking dead.
I mean, if Coburn gets in trouble against Dickinson,
I'm saying even more the guards, I think.
That too. I mean, no, Smith's been unreal.
Right.
Livers, unreal. I mean, they're just deep. They got a ton of guys that can score.
I just think Coburn's a different animal. You saw what Coburn did to fucking Garza.
Mm-hmm.
I
did see that.
I'm sorry, what Dickinson did to Garza. I think Coburn's a different animal. I don't know if Dickinson can. He's gonna play well. I don't know if he can dominate Coburn like he did.
They're just such different styles because obviously Coburn's so kind of like just physically dominant, whereas like Dickinson's just so, like, he's so big, but he's so, like, crafty.
Yeah.
Like, he's that guy at the Y that he, like, annoys you because he's so good, but it's like he doesn't do anything that's, like, sexy or pops out at you. He just gives you an 18 and 10.
But when he catches the ball 8 feet from the basket, because
he's got a great little hook.
Because Colburn's so big, is Dickinson going to be able to get to 4 feet and make that crafty move, backing him down? I think Colburn's just fucking bigger, stronger. That's the matchup to watch tonight.
I'm just thinking refs, home game, Coburn he gets too early. I mean, he's gonna have a field day.
Yep.
But I just like him even 5 foot there. He's got that little hook. Like he's got a nice game on the inside.
I love March.
It's the best.
I mean, it's the best. I'm so pumped right now.
Championship week is as entertaining as the NCAA tournament.
Especially when it's like quarterfinal round.
The thing people aren't remembering is there's more games during championship week.
There is.
You get Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all day
games. There's 12 to 12.
Yeah, 12 to
all
day games.
This is my first year to see it. What is the office going to be like on these days?
I mean, it's going to be a little bit different than when it was at HQ2. Okay. And Ev could speak more than me because I wasn't really around, but you obviously checked in and you knew stuff. But when they were packed at HQ2, I feel like that was peak. Before they signed with Penn and they, everybody kind of wanted a piece of the pie. I would imagine HQ2. Plus, they had all the contests. Like HQ2 was unbelievable. Now you're gonna get some people like the gambling people travel. It's still gonna be entertaining. You're gonna get the most casual fans here, obviously, and it's gonna be an electric environment.
Yeah, I just can't. Man, I love this time of year too, and I think a lot of it too is I'm just buzzing because I've been hot lately. Yeah.
I was hot. I'm cold.
Oh well, you'll turn it around,
Saturdays.
Rico. You're still up. You're still up for the year on college basketball.
Barely. It's one of those like they let me keep the change on $1. That's what I'm up right now.
Hanging on by dental floss.
Exactly. Yes.
That's too funny. Some other ones I wanted to touch on today, just because it was a big card. Do y'all have any thoughts on Xavier Georgetown? I don't know the Big East as much, but Xavier 2.5 point looks like a ratty line a little
Xavier's
bit.
one of those.
You caught him last week in that Providence game.
Yeah, I did.
Xavier's one of those teams who could play in to the tournament. They're still like at the top of the Big East. Technically, they might be the third best team in the Big East. I've seen Georgetown still kind of fighting for Ewing. I think it's time. It might be time to move on. Maybe next year. I think you give them this year as a pass. I think it's another one like last night. Xavier has to win. Obvious side says take Xavier. Georgetown wins. That's fucking March. I would say take Georgetown money line.
There's something, I said this to Av yesterday on Clubhouse. There's something about the exact road favorite by 2.5 line. And in football, I get why it freaks me out. Because it's like you take the better team, and all you got to do is win by a field goal, and it's a sucker bet. But I almost think it applies to basketball, too. It's just like, it always looks so obvious. Like, this is the better team. They only have to win by 3, and I don't know. It's just like, to me, it's like the ultimate rat line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. Look at last night. UNC, all I got to do is win by what? 2, 2.5?
Yeah, it's always that like 2.5, that 2.5. I don't know. Something about it just weirds me out.
No, it's a weird line because Xavier, especially like at the beginning of the year when they're on that undefeated run, they were just so hot from 3.
They were another
where it was just like it was unattainable to stay that hot. They were just on fire. Like I remember who they played was Oklahoma. Yeah. That they were just like unconscious from 3. Like they must have hit like 20. They were just insane. I remember watching that game. Beyond Oklahoma like an asshole. But I agree with you, Mincy. It's just a weird line. Like, this is always a spot where I would just take Georgetown. I don't think I'm going to take the game. But if I was, I'm Xavier all-time sucker bet. Like, they might win. They need it bad. This almost might be revert. Last night, all these teams that needed it didn't get it done. Maybe tonight, now they get it done. It's a weird, because Georgetown, they've been scrappy. They had a nice little run. They won like 4 or 5 games in a row,
I think. They were up on Nova early in the year.
They show those flashes that they definitely can compete with these teams. Yeah. Xavier's definitely, they kind of live and die by the 3 a little bit. So it's always, they get hot, obviously they win the game. They don't make shots, they'll lose.
They're always a tough out in the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
They seem like they're known to make runs if you let them in there. I'm running through the board of the Barstool Sportsbook app. I have a strong opinion on this Auburn-Bama game. Bama's favored by 11, but I think this is one of those spots where it's high for a reason. This is Bama, I think, a big bounce back. I know they barely won at Mississippi State, but they hate Auburn.
Senior night.
Yeah, and no, Cooper is trying to go, but he's been hurt. He couldn't practice yesterday, but he's traveling with the team. I think Bama's going to beat the shit out of him. I think this is like a spot where they're going to come out. They've kind of had some sluggish efforts. We saw the loss at Arkansas. They didn't cover at State. Now they're at home where they're really tough at Coleman Coliseum. Auburn's banged up. Auburn is probably overvalued because that Tennessee team, I don't even know. I've been betting against them on the road just every time.
But I want Tennessee to get hot.
Yeah.
and everybody get a little bit, Tennessee.
They-
so I could fade the shit out of them even more.
Yeah, they're
Like, let the stock go up, and I'm still shorting it.
yeah. And
yeah.
I mean, even without Cooper, they lost outright as an 8.5-point favorite.
suck.
But I think it sets up a great spot to bet Bama because Auburn won that game against a team that was ranked top 25. And so I'm not normally one that likes to lay 11 in rivalry games, but I am tonight. And I kind of have a pretty strong opinion on
I hear
Bama
you. It's
here.
kind of like that Auburn winning that game without Cooper. They kind of like blew their load already a little bit. And now this is kind of the revert back to the norm game. They don't have their first-round pick, lottery pick, and they just get blown off. I see it.
Bama's tough at home. Even when Bama's not that good at basketball, they're one of those teams that's pretty tough at home and sucks on the road.
So you ever heard the expression, what's good for the goose is good for the gander?
I've heard the expression.
We need Alabama's coach to be happy for tomorrow's recording. Let's just put it
Okay,
that way.
fair
right.
enough.
Love
Oh,
it.
wow. Okay,
Love
it.
okay.
Nate
Love it.
Oates on the pod tomorrow.
Ooh.
Alabama first half. I agree. Maybe they pull guys at the end. I don't know if
It's just Auburn. They hate them. They're going to want to run it up.
I get it.
You know?
But senior night, you cannot lay an egg coming out of the gates. It's 2 possessions, the way they shoot threes. I'll take Alabama -6 first half.
I like it. You guys, both of you have just sold me on Bama.
I feel like the SEC stuff's my strong suit, too. I'm pretty good on reading all that. Duke, Georgia Tech, I'm real curious to hear y'all's opinions on this. I looked at Georgia Tech by 1.5, and I decided to pass and sit it out. Y'all have any thoughts?
You're going to get the best effort of the season from Duke.
That's why.
Because
that's
this
why
is
I did
a
it.
line in the sand, kitchen sink. We're dead if we lose it game. I'm taking Georgia Tech. I've been right all
Georgia
year.
Texan, it's
Hell
almost
of
funny because
engineers.
Like, I'll take it. Like, I don't even all their shit. It's Matthew Hurd and it's 4 other guys. They've yet to figure out a way to put 2 guys on the stat sheet playing well together.
and it's almost crazy because Georgia Tech they're like much safer than Duke is. They're probably in, right?
Paston's a good coach.
He is. He is. And it's funny because I remember he was arguing a few weeks ago saying how, saying ACC teams, how good of a conference it is. People were kind of laughing at him. They've kind of went on a run since then. And now they're like in. I would say NCAA, they're in.
He backed himself up. And the ACC is saying 6 or 7 teams now, so he's not crazy.
No, I don't think he is either.
But he put his money where his mouth is. Like, oh, you want to be in the tournament? All right, he picked it up. They're fucking in pretty much right now.
I'm on. It's on my card. I'm on Tech tonight.
All right.
The Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech were hell of engineers. One of my favorite fight songs.
I think they
In
got
the
a
game?
couple of. I worked for a guy from Georgia Tech. He was the biggest nerd in fucking America. I hate his guts. But anyway, I think Georgia Tech has some New York City kids too. Alvarado, I'm pretty sure, is a New York City kid.
Yes.
So
The Georgia student section in football when they'd play in Athens used to just start a chant, "Nerds, nerds, nerds." It's like a real thing. It's pretty funny.
It still just breaks my heart that in football they don't run the triple option anymore.
I mean, when you're in the heart of Atlanta, which is like the best high school football area in the country, I don't know that you need to be running the triple.
It's just
like if they were in the middle of nowhere, I'd feel different.
It's just ingrained in
it
my
still
brain.
fucks with your brain. You see like 60 on an over for them in football, and you're like, oh, triple option. Wait, no, they're not running the triple.
No,
Like,
this year they were a great over team because
Yeah.
their defense was horrible.
I think that's something we need to put on the Barstool Sportsbook app, like disclaimers or like idiot reminders. Like Georgia Tech, every time there's a star next to it, and you see like you know how in neutral games it'll say like played in Austin, Texas, on like the star underneath. For that, you say Georgia Tech does not run the triple.
Like
option.
runs the spread.
Yeah, something like that. Like there should be fucking idiot reminders.
Is
on
there?
Barstool.
I wish there was some way we could get like an injury report link on them. On the sport, but I mean that would honestly encourage smarter gambling.
I think
maybe.
there is. People have
See, I actually like this Barstool Sportsbook that does this. I haven't seen the other apps do this, where they actually show you like the percentage of covers for the year, over-unders for the year. I think each team, their last 3 matchups, how they've went, who they played, score.
Yeah, right.
At least
here.
giving you a little feel.
UT, I just clicked the first one. UT Rio Grande, New Mexico State. Implied win probability, recent games, head-to-head, hot tip.
I think over-unders.
New Mexico State has won 12 of its last 13 Tuesday games. So, I mean, fucking...
That's pretty depth. Can't say that I
yeah, you know.
would have known.
Listen.
Can't say I'd have known that one. All right, running through Indiana, Michigan State. Kind of touched on this one for a sec. I'm curious, Ev, especially with your Big Ten knowledge. I was kind of leaning Michigan State.
It's a coin flip.
What's the line?
They both need it
Michigan
bad.
State by 3 at
They
home.
they both need it really bad. It's just like a coin flip. They both need it badly, really badly.
What's the over-under?
135, pretty low. But I mean, I think it should be low.
Again, both teams who need it, just at the end, given all their effort. Do you see the over at the end?
That's what
I think
I would
strictly
lean
on
over
free throws.
just because they need it really bad. Like they both just need it bad. I think it's focus, need to score. Like it's just a lot. It's just a game where you're both super locked in.
I'd take a blind over.
Michigan State had 55 points in Maryland. It could be a bounce back effort here.
The Celtics, they're saying they could have won a couple different championships. Brad Stevens maybe looking to come back to Indiana. They throw a bag at him.
Ooh, think?
Dude, he's like Hoosier blood. I think he's pretty sure he's from Indiana.
Man,
like that's
I just can't see it.
Like,
they're young too.
You agree he's made more for college though, right? Like, I know he's
But it's also
succeeding.
college coaches are bigger. It's almost like you're a bigger star as a coach in college than you.
Well, for sure, because he's running the show. It's like when you
Zionsville, Indiana.
Like it's like when you think of Butler at that time, you thought Brad Stevens, whereas like the Celtics, you think of Jason Tatum. I'm saying right now, like right now's team, obviously, it's just different. It's different because the Celtics, it's not like you're coaching like the Memphis Grizzlies. You're coaching the Celtics.
Yeah,
elite team. And they have elite talent right now. Like you're walking away from some like elite young stars, just starting to creep into their prime. I mean, Tatum's probably 23.
Yeah, you got Tatum.
Jaylen Brown the same, like 24, 25.
I just can't see it because of that. Andy's getting paid heaps too.
A lot, yeah. It'd be weird if he just left.
No, I get the thought.
I can see down the road
think if they do get the wrong guy, and then Stevens can wait 2 or 3 years, and with Celtics it doesn't work out, he'll still be the guy. He'll still be the top name at Indiana no matter what.
Oh, for sure.
Just because they can't get him now, he'll still be the guy. So
for sure. I mean, he could flame out in Boston. He still would be the guy.
Still would be the guy. So exactly. So I think with him, he's going to ride out in Boston until they want him. He's still young as shit, too. He's 44 years old.
Yeah, crazy.
No, yeah, he is. He during his Butler had he's like 35 when they played in that title game.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And they've had, I mean, Holtman was the guy too, and then we plucked him. Holtman's been unreal. I mean, he doesn't get enough credit. I think where the state of the program was when he came in. The year that he came in, we were projected to come in last in the Big Ten. We were a 5 seed in the tournament. Like he took a roster that Mata was obviously a phenomenal coach. I think it was just his time. He's old. Like he took a team that was just going nowhere and just flipped them into a legit top 25 team right away without even his guys. And now he's brought in like the Liddells, the Washington, all these guys. I love Holtman. I don't think he gets enough credit for how good of a coach he is.
That's what I was fascinated with. I've asked some of these guys when you get them in, and it's like you take a program over, like everyone's a 5-year goal, this, that, right? Like what are the steps? And everyone has different things, but I think ultimately kind of what they've said is you got to build a good staff. You got to have guys around you who you trust. You got to have a really good assistant coach. But then ultimately you got to go get guys. Like fucking who said it? Will Wade. I think he said it's the horse, not the jockey. Which is a great fucking, like, ultimately, you got to go get fucking basketball players.
Bear Bryant always said it's the Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's.
You got to go beat your ass on the recruiting trail and get guys,
Well, in basketball, you only you get 2 or 3 guys you can win, too, because basketball, 5 guys on the court. It's not quite the level of football.
All it takes is one big one. All it takes is one big one can change everything.
Speaking of Will Wade, LSU laying 14 against Vandy tonight. It's a high line. You'd think bounce back for LSU after going 0-2 on the road last week. I'm not necessarily laying 14. I'm looking at over 157. I did lose on the LSU Arkansas, but man, I'm willing to go down with the LSU overs this year. They don't play any D. They score a ton, and Vandy does nothing but sit outside and shoot threes.
Okay.
Sometimes they make, but Pippen, I'm not sure if Pippen's playing or
That's
not.
what I was just going to say.
Yeah,
if he's playing,
out.
I really like the over.
They're getting 14.
He gives them 20 a game. Vandy has some guys. They've hung around a bunch of games.
They've been one of those teams. They've been covering like crazy.
They have Duusu.
Stackhouse seems like he gives a shit, too.
He does. I think he does. They just don't have it. I just don't think they have the guys. They have Pippen and the guy Duusu, I think his name, or Diosu, however you say his name. He's a tank. He's like a big athlete, probably like 6'10". But I think outside of those two guys, they just don't really have
McBride,
guys.
the Kansas transfer, went off against Ole Miss on Saturday. He's from Little Rock.
But laying 14, you're right. Laying 14 with LSU on a team that doesn't, straight out of his coach's mouth, does not play defense is very tough to do.
Yeah, that one looks it looks a little weird. We've got a little Mincy Bomb special coming up that LSU's involved in later today. Wisconsin, Purdue. I was leaning Purdue. I saw you liked Wisconsin.
I do like Wisconsin.
I just don't trust Wisconsin on the road.
I think they have the guy. I think they match up well with Purdue.
Okay.
They have the big guys that I think can match up with Williams on the inside. I've said a bunch. That's what's given. They beat Ohio State this year. I watched both those games. That was our trouble. They got Micah Potter. They got the dude Reavers, however you say his name. They got 2 big guys that I think actually can play defense and hang with them. I just think it's a good spot for them. I think they match up well.
Wisconsin's a team that's not fun for me to bet on.
No, they're not at all.
They do nothing
Not at all.
sexy. I would lean Purdue with this
I've
one.
always liked riding Wisconsin and Madison, though, because they were always just tough at home. But, man, even at home, they've been dropping them lately. They had that big first half against Michigan when Michigan had the COVID break, and then Michigan came back second half. And then Illinois got them on that line was kind of out of hand. Wisconsin giving them 5 on Saturday. I don't know. I'm just not very impressed with this Wisconsin bunch. Purdue had a big win at Penn State, played one of their best games of the year on Saturday. They need this too.
Yeah, they're both. I think it's like 23 versus 25. It's a pick 'em. I guess I'm taking the 2 points. I just like Wisco here. I just think they match up.
I think Painter's the better coach. So I'm going to lean with Purdue. And I love
That's
that
fair.
kid. I've watched that kid Williams fucking be an animal.
Yeah, no, he's a
So-
monster. He's a monster.
Last one I want to mention is a little bit. We kind of touched Kentucky Ole Miss earlier. I think that this is the first team to score 55 wins tonight. Both these teams struggle to score so much this year. It's like the over/under is 131.5, and I'm leaning under. I should be rich off Ole Miss unders this year. I mean, it's so hard to watch.
Yeah, I don't have a crazy opinion on this game. To me, it's almost kind of a coin flip game too,
Mhm.
which almost leaned to me kind of like in Kentucky getting 3, but I'm not super opinionated on it.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on the actual game.
Even as much as Kentucky stinks and is checked out, I do think Calipari can motivate him to be like, this is still when people are looking at your tapes. Like it's kind of known that they're all fucking like eventually gonna be pro guys, or maybe they have 1 or 2 guys who could still somehow fucking sneak. I mean, look at Quickly. Quickly was like the SEC Player of the Year. We got him at the end of the year. You know, like I don't know Kentucky in and out, but I'm sure it's based on potential. One of them's going in the fucking draft. I think Calipari motivates them just because of how horrifically I've seen Ole Miss execute at the end of the games. I lean Kentucky, but again, this is one that, like, unless you bet it, I want no part of watching this game.
I'll watch it because it's my alma mater.
Course,
and also, I don't get to see my alma mater beat Kentucky very often, so I'd like to see it, but I hear you. Do you think Kentucky can make a run in the SEC tournament?
Yeah, I mean, that's the most, like, obvious public storyline type of thing.
Yeah, it is.
But now when you start to look at, like,
Nashville's really close to home for
you
them,
start
too.
to look at, like, who's really up there. LSU is still more athletic than Kentucky. Okay, if they get in a running match and it's their style, LSU beats them. Arkansas could beat the shit out of Kentucky. Bama could beat the shit out of Kentucky. Tennessee's still like, hey, we've been struggling.
Tennessee
Let's
won there.
Yeah, let's bear down and go get a win. So that's 4. So now,
Obviously, Florida just beat them handily too.
I knew I was going to forget one. Florida. What if they draw Vandy in a fucking play-in game again, and that's Vandy's Super Bowl? I'm just saying, I think it's way too many breaks of like, all right, they get lucky and they beat even fucking Auburn. If Cooper comes, is Cooper out for the year? I'm sorry.
I don't know if he's out for the year.
He's
but
trying to play today. He's traveling.
He's trying to play.
I
Okay,
looked him up on the injury report because I bet on Bama
Right.
tonight, and he didn't practice yesterday, but he's traveling with the team to Tuscaloosa, and they don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's when GMs start looking at the SEC tournament. They're going to send, I don't know, fans are going, whatever. They'll send somebody down to go look at it. Maybe Cooper tries to go for fucking 60 against Kentucky. That's his fucking Super. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Auburn's fucking not postseason eligible, so they won't play in the SEC tournament. I'm sorry. But I'm just giving a million examples where I think can Kentucky win one? It's like, oh, good story. Can they win another? Probably not. Can they win a third? Probably not.
Especially because I feel like I've had them a couple of times in these like rat line games, and they just don't come through for me every time they lose. Florida, they're a 2-point favorite at home. They get smoked. I feel like so many times that's kind of happened with
I
them.
had that one too.
And they just, you make valid points. Like it's tough. It's like they rip off one great, but it's tough to see them. They just consistently have shown they're just not that good of a basketball team, and to think they're going to come in because I've even said it where I'm like 20-1 with SEC, good value, but I'm like. Then I think about it again, and I'm like, them beating all these teams like back to back to back like that. They just haven't shown they're that kind of team.
And we could spend 30 seconds on it. People are going to think I'm overthinking it. But after a while, when you look at the storied tradition of Kentucky and all those fucking old timers who write the checks, you know, and like all those fucking boys down there, those guys down there. After a while, with Calipari going one and done and running a factory and not winning, did they eventually try to start to push him out?
I don't see it just because they were struggling before Calipari got in there, man.
I think it would take
that Billy Kennedy era was just awful. I know Tubby, won at the beginning, but he held on. They held on with him like 3, 4, 5 years too long. And so, Calipari came to Kentucky at a bad time. And look, I know this year's been bad, but man, they've been competing really, really high level every year. I know the one and done thing does annoy the old timers though. That's a real point because I got some Kentucky friends, and they really that does bother them. But man, it's not like they were doing that well before Calipari.
I just think it would take a couple more years, like this year. Like I think if they were like another, like they go like 8-13, another just like horrendous non-tournament team year, I think it would take 2 of those in a row.
Oh, absolutely.
He's built up enough goodwill where I think it would take just some bad years for people to be like, yeah, we need to maybe look someplace else.
I'm just saying he's no longer untouchable. The other thing I think is a problem is you got to have a name, or you got to have 2 or 3 names of like, we want to go get Holtman. Holtman's the guy. Or we want to, if Jerry Stackhouse is fucking killing it at Vanderbilt, we want to bring him in. Maybe we do this. Like, you got to have a couple different names. I don't know if they have a name right now.
I don't think so either.
That's the thing. I don't think there's like a can't miss.
Also, this year was the weird year that they just, obviously with the recruiting, they just didn't bring in that guy who's like, oh, this guy's going like top 5. They don't have that guy. I don't think they have a top 10, 15 guy.
What I will say on the Kentucky thing, he was the original and the one and done. Calipari was going back to Memphis with Derrick Rose. And when he got to Kentucky, he was the guy. And now everybody else started copying that model. You know, you saw Duke do it.
Right.
And so now all of a sudden, I mean, he still recruits real well, but I mean, he was getting the best class every year, and it was like not even.
But then the issue there is once everybody copies your playbook, and I'll give him credit, he fucking killed the one and dones. But once everybody starts getting that, now everybody has a one and done horse, what does it come down to? Coaching. He can't coach. So, like, when you equal out the playing field, you know, like you look at Arkansas, they might have a one and done guy. Bama might have a one and done. Like, now it comes down to, can you actually make adjustments and win a game? Calipari cannot do it. He can't. He's not a good coach.
They don't have anybody that can shoot this year either.
Which is insane.
Even though they do have, I don't know, one of their best players, his last name is Mintz, which cracks me up. And I got to say, it's funny, too, because there are a lot of Mintzes in the country, but I've never seen somebody that's black named Mintz. So I think it's pretty cool. I like it. I like it. He's good. He's a hell of a
relative.
Yeah. He's good, though. He averages like 15 a game. He reps well. Here's a question. Duke in the ACC, Michigan State in the Big Ten, or Kentucky in the SEC, who has the best chance to win their conference tournament? Duke, because it's the weakest, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, most talented probably, too.
And I still think all of them are going to be like 10-1 shots, minimum.
Kentucky was 15-1 last I checked, and I think Michigan State was 16-1
Yeah, I'd have to go.
I think Duke will probably be like
Duke, just because it's the weakest. Yeah,
they have the most. They have the most talent. They have the
too.
most talent relative to the top of the conference, too.
Plus, at any point, if you draw Virginia in a semi or a quarterfinal, you're in the game because I don't think Virginia can blow them out. Did you hear what Owen has?
What?
On Providence? 50-1 to win the Big
East.
We
talked about in the clubhouse. They're 25-1 now.
They were 40-1 the other day. I think.
I think it was 40. They're 20. I think they're 25.
I think they had a big win. They moved from 40 to 25.
Yeah, they're 25. He has 50. He has 50-1.
I'll take 25.
He has 25-1 to win the Big East.
Jack Mack just said it too. He goes, we've been talking about it on the pod too. Like, look at Nova's resume on a blind resume. If I hand you a sheet of paper, you'd be like, who they beat? Nova is going on name only right now. Their resume stinks.
That was a bad
in
loss
Providence. Correct me. I'm trying to think of the other top teams in the Big East. They have probably the best. No, they probably have the best NBA prospect. Bad name, David Duke. The guy's a stud.
He's unbelievable.
He's probably the top draft pick out of all those top teams.
Cooley loves the Big East tournament. You talk about a kid who like Kemba, Jerry Mack. I grew up on the Big East. All those teams. I went to those games as a 10-year-old kid.
Oh, I'm jealous.
It's the best. Big East.
Dude, when it was Ray Allen, Kerry Kittles, Iverson, and John Wallace, that 96 year. That was. I mean, I watched every. I was a kid. I never missed any of it.
Or it was 95. The 95 game is famous when Ray Allen like goes up in the air and he doesn't think he's gonna shoot and he hits it over Iverson. That's a great one. But you talk about a guy just taking over. David Duke could fucking take over in the Big East tournament. 25-1. Like you look at the bracket. Seton Hall, I think, is the 3 right now. Turns a seed. Providence is the 6. I get Seton Hall, who's the most inconsistent fucking team in America, as my quarterfinal. I'll take it, and then I get Nova and Creighton.
Damn, I'm gonna get on this, even though it's 25. It's 25-1.
TJ, give it to me right now. Providence, whatever they are, give me them the Big East. I'll take it right now. I like it even better if the once I start to see a bracket. But I'll take it right now.
Early next week, we need to go over before the conference tournament start Monday or Tuesday. We need to get our picks out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I really look forward to that. I want to bring up a funny David Duke story from the non-David Duke player. So the one in Louisiana that has such a bad name ran for governor in like 92 when I was a kid. And my dad put his arm, I remember this. I had childhood memory. I'm 12 years old, or maybe even 8 or 9. My dad puts his arm around me. Son, I want you to learn one thing in life. Don't ever get caught in bed with a live boy or a dead girl. And the reason I bring this up was Edwin Edwards said before his election race against David Duke, he said, the only way I will lose this governor's election in Louisiana is if I get caught in bed with a live boy or a dead girl. I thought that was That's a childhood quote I'll never forget.
Did he lose by a lot?
Oh, Edwin Edwards killed him. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, David did. But anyway.
Crazy. I'm seeing I could have swore it was 20. It's 40. 40-1 to win the Big East.
Even better.
40-1.
And here that's crazy. So it's Villanova plus 125, Creighton plus 200, UConn plus 475, Xavier plus 550, Seton Hall plus 1,500, them plus 4,000. That's shocking to me. Because I could have swore the other day that it
Villanova dominating.
went
Doesn't
down to 25.
Villanova win this tournament every year or most years? No.
Some. Not every.
There's just no. Where are you on Creighton this year?
Good, not great.
Yeah, I mean they're just
they're
they're
you know
Creighton
who they are?
still.
They're fucking
They're
Iowa.
good, but
They're Iowa.
Yeah.
They're better defensively, Iowa, but they're gonna shoot your lights
a little
out.
more athletic probably than
All
Iowa.
right, so the way the bracket is right now is Nova is the 1, Creighton is the 2, Seton Hall is the 3, UConn is the 4, Xavier is the 5, St. John's is the 6, Providence is the 7. Okay, so I don't
so that's why they're gonna have to play probably
but
Creighton.
but they're tied with St. John's. They're both 8 and 9, and St. John's hasn't been great. So we need Providence to move to the 6.
Yes,
I do not like getting Providence playing Creighton or Villanova in the quarters. I like them playing in the semis.
Yeah, definitely rather play Seton Hall or Xavier. In that
now
game.
I don't like it as much if UConn jumps to the 3 and you get UConn in the quarters as well.
UConn with Book Knight's dangerous.
That's gonna be.
They can make a run in the
David
tournament.
Duke versus Book Knight would be a fucking hell of a game.
Book Knight, that UConn team is going to be dangerous.
I'm glad they're back in the Big East, man.
Yeah, they belong in the Big East.
Oh man.
You know who else belongs in the fucking ACC is Maryland.
Yeah, I still have trouble.
them being in the Big Ten, it still feels weird.
It's a basketball fucking school.
Well, that's why it helps us with basketball. That's why they make us look like shit in football, but in the Big Ten.
Right. But the
Penn
ACC
State
is a
didn't want
basketball
No, for
conference,
sure.
so stay in the
For sure. Even just like their colors. Like they should just be playing. Even I guess going back, I was gonna say they should be playing Cuse. Obviously, Cuse was in the Big East too.
I think Q should be back in the Big East too.
I'm a traditional guy.
They
I don't love it.
I
love
grew
all
up on
stuff.
the
Well,
Big
I mean,
East.
football just controls it now. Just with Cuse, like they just can't be. They're a Power 5. They can't just go non-Power 5 in football.
Yeah. Listen, oh, you're right. You're right.
That's why
you're
for
right.
Cuse, it just like it doesn't make sense anymore. They just can't like. UConn can like Cuse. Even though obviously
You're right.
you're not thinking of Cuse as this like football powerhouse. They show
yeah.
flashes.
Yeah. And the Big East doesn't have a Big East network. Even the ACC has a fucking ACC network now. So the Big East is behind the times. Can't justify that. You can't walk into a meeting and be like, Maryland, we want to play Duke. We want to play Carolina. Yeah? You're going to fucking make us an extra $50 million based on this Big Ten deal? Like,
They're just like, nah, you're gonna play Michigan State,
Right,
you're gonna play Michigan,
Michigan,
you're
you're
gonna play Ohio
gonna-
State, you're gonna play Indiana.
yeah, you're gonna fund the whole program, man. We're in a money making business.
No, it's all about those TV revenues are just
It's everything.
they're just insane. Ev, did you have any NBA stuff? I know you didn't. Like, last night, I want to say a couple. All I can say, look, I don't know. Night after night, you never know what you're going to get. But a night like last night, the potential of the New Orleans Pelicans, man. When they play well last night, Lonzo Ball's been hot. Beat the Jazz, who have the best record in the NBA. J.J. Redick turning back time. Josh Hartland good. They almost blew it in the fourth quarter, but I was fired up. I know right now it's very up and down. They lose to bad teams all the time. But a night like last night, you just see the potential of what could be in the next 3 to 5 years. Zion's a superstar, man.
He's unreal.
He's unreal. He gets in and nationally starting to get a little credit, but no one watches the Pelicans games other than me.
He's just so efficient too. What's he shooting for?
No, but I respect your opinion. Continue that thought. But we're both in the same thing because now the Knicks are finally fun and young.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I
So
was
that's the Pelicans. Like, it's good to have a young, fun team. You're not going
Yes.
to win the whole fucking championship. You just want to be able to watch your fucking team
'Cause I
for
was-
so many
Bingo.
years of how bad the Knicks were.
Thank
Boom.
you. Yeah.
And I was gonna say because I didn't have it in my card. I will add it tonight. Spurs coming off a back-to-back and a pick'em in San Antonio. Give me the Knicks.
Yeah, and the Spurs.
Give me the Knicks.
Spurs,
I don't.
Spurs lost
this
an OT
team-
last night, too.
The Knicks. That's what I'm saying. They blew a wad last night. Off the back-to-back. Tough game against the Nets, obviously.
Are you still getting value on the Jazz to win the championship? Nah, it moved down a little bit.
I don't know. I went against the Jazz. I had
9-1.
Miami +7 and Pelicans +7. I got the Jazz twice on the road in the last 3 or 4 days. I know that they're really good, and I never want to mess with them at home. But the heater they've been on, there comes a point where it's like they're overvalued.
Due to regress a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's somebody to take a sleeper on? I mean, obviously it's the Nets and the fucking Lakers seem like.
The NBA is hard to do sleepers. That's the thing with the NBA. It's like the best teams.
Or somebody where you hold a future value into the conference finals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know this isn't going to be. I mean, always like a team like the Celtics, I guess. I mean, I still don't like it because I just think it's going to be like the Lakers or the Nets.
What about the Jazz at 9-1? I still think that's not.
Honestly, even the Celtics or maybe even the Sixers, they're playing better if they get that home court. They've been playing really well at home. They're 12-1. But it's one of those I just don't.
Embiid can do it.
I just don't. I still just don't like because I think, especially like with some of these buyouts coming out, like some of these teams could end up picking up like a Blake Griffin too, like the Nets or like some of these like who else? There's one like Drummond. Like if Drummond ends up going to the Nets or something like that, they get DeAndre out of there. I don't know. That might be a little far fetched just because DeAndre was kind of part of the piece that they brought these guys in. But especially one of these teams adds one of these big buyout guys. I mean.
Do we get crazy? The Knicks are 150-1 to win the East. Does Kyrie go nuts again and fucking quit? Like, does Giannis get hurt? 150-1.
I just picture the Garden, the MVP. Talk about Julius Randle, MVP.
That's the thing that sucks. The Garden would love this Knicks team.
Oh my God, you saw the
Quickly would be with fucking every model right now after games. They'd be a superstar.
I loved, even though at like 10% capacity, Randle got on the mic and they were giving him the MVP chance. Even just the few people that were in there, they were giving him the MVP chance. So you could tell he appreciated it because. That's what I was saying about this Knicks team. It's organic. It's completely organic. We didn't trade the whole farm for Melo. No. This is an organic team. Randall, even though he started with the Pelicans, he's becoming a star on the Knicks.
Which is
he's our guy.
Never been done with the Knicks.
No,
building a team organically, never.
He's
the
our
one
guy.
playoff series we won, we went and bought it. We bought Melo. We bought Amari. Like that was fucking. Stolen.
Amari at least was a little more organic because he just came when no one else did. But I still hear he still was a $100 million guy.
Amari was also still the third option that summer. You got to remember, too.
That's fair, but like, he at least was the guy that was like, I'm coming. Like,
I know.
He was like, I'll be the guy.
We were trying to say that was the hottest girl on the block.
Well, no, it was LeBron. It was LeBron, Bosh.
Of course.
Him and Bosh were kind of like the same almost at that point. They
Wade.
were like the two best. Yeah. Wade was, he wasn't going anywhere, but I hear you. This team's been completely organic. I mean, just draft picks and like middling veterans that obviously Randall's still a young guy, but I mean, he kind of it just didn't work out. LA.
And a bright future. 2 draft picks in next year's draft. And the Mavs stink, so
that's what I said. If they keep stinking, we can go add a couple guys. I just think we're at a point, especially if we make the playoffs. Now we're at a point finally where we might be able to get a big star, where he might say, "Hey, you have an organic star with Randall, who now he's become that guy. If he can keep playing like this,
Quickly's good.
You have good young guys. Barrett's looked good this year. You have some guys.
Who do you like? If you had a draft. I just pray.
I just don't know where we're just in a weird spot. Especially if we make the playoffs, we're not even going to be a lottery pick. I mean, the 2 picks could literally end up being like 15 and like 16, like type, like where it's like. I mean, but you got to hope. Like, I mean, Quickly was 26 or 27. I mean, you got to just keep drafting well.
Right.
We have Obi Toppin still super young. Like, he missed a lot of games. Like, he still, I think, has a lot of potential as a scorer. So, I mean, like, I like what we've done.
Oh, it's great.
And it's just obviously I keep saying it like, just hope Thibodeau's learned his lesson about burning these guys out.
Yes,
he's taken all the good things that he did with Chicago, and hopefully he can bring them here and just be like, listen, you don't need to play the one guy. You don't need to play Randall 45 minutes a game, which I don't think he really has. I need to look at it more. I've watched a lot of the Knicks game, pretty much all of them, but
I love
good things. It's good things.
I love seeing y'all be excited about it.
It's the best.
Well, no, it brings it back full circle. I said too. I mean, you know, New Orleans is finally fucking good. It's the same thing. It's just good to be excited about your fucking team.
And look, we live in this society. I talk about this all the time, and people bag on me for this opinion. But we live in this championship or bust society where everybody's deemed, if you don't win a championship, you're a failure. The hell with that. If you're a good organization, and you make the playoffs and bring enjoyment as a fan, that's not a bad thing.
What was the Knicks?
Like, I just don't understand the society. You know, it drives me nuts.
The Knicks are going to hit their win total, like, what, in a week?
I think they already have, like, 18 wins. It was, like, 22 or 23.
Who did you root for before the Pelicans?
I kind of pulled for the Memphis Grizzlies when I was when I was at Ole Miss and like when it was like the Hubie Brown and
because you're in a
Pau
weird
Gasol
area
and Battier and that team. But then when the Hornets moved to New Orleans, I always am going to support New Orleans.
Oh, of course. It was interesting. You know, obviously they didn't have a franchise.
Yeah, so I pulled for Memphis. Like there's some bandwagon Mavericks fans in Louisiana, but I hate the Cowboys so much I can't.
Let's see, going off what you said too with kind of the like win or bust thing. In the NBA, that's become such a thing where I think it's kind of become this like lazy argument where it's like, like you don't win anything. Like that doesn't mean you're bad. Like what does that mean? Charles Barkley stunk? Or like I bring up like I think it's kind of become the face of it now because I think he's probably going to stay there his whole career. Like Damian Lillard, he's unbelievable. Just
out
because
of Weber
he's
State.
he's
The guy from
never
Weber
like
State who
like
turned
if he
himself
stays
into
with
a
the
perennial
Blazers,
all-star.
like he's not going to win a championship. Like
He's
it's
a
highly
perennial
likely.
all-star in a smaller market in Portland from Weber State. Can't we just say the guy had a fucking great career?
Because
You know what I
obviously
mean?
we have a certain person in this office now who's doing the whole Ben Simmons thing, which I think I just think it's lazy with these saying these stars like, oh, like he's a bum, he's never won anything. If you literally are not Kawhi Leonard on LeBron's team or the Warriors, you haven't won anything. If you're in the NBA right now, like if you are literally not those guys, like the last decade,
Dame Lillard to move away, you're gonna get fucking like guys like
See,
that. Zion's gonna move.
The reason I love Lillard, he's been the one guy. He's like, I'm not leaving. Like this is my team.
Good.
And that's why they've been a good team. Like they're a playoff team. It's just tough when you have to compete against now LeBron's out west. You got Kawhi's out west with these super teams. Like it's tough for him to compete with these guys. He can only do so much.
Good.
Well, I just admire the fans getting to enjoy their teams, even if they, you're allowed to have fun, even if your teams don't win titles.
For sure.
And that just, I don't know, that's the whole thing. That just drives me nuts because is everybody just supposed to be miserable in sports? I mean, one team wins it out of 30 or 32 every year. The other 29 fan bases just like, oh, if you don't win a championship, you can't enjoy this.
That's also another thing where people get in the argument say, well, I had it this year where Ohio State gets blown out in the championship game. And people are like, would you have rather just not been there? And I'm like, no. Ours specifically was different because we got the Clemson monkey off our back, so that was like much different where I would do that. I would take that lashing from Bama 10 times over again to be able to give Clemson the lashing that we gave them. But that's kind of become the thing where it's like, oh, would you have rather not been there? Like, you can't, like, all the excitement you had all that year to make, say, like, the semifinals, like, make the AFC Championship game in football, whatever, like, conference finals. You wouldn't take it back. Like you wouldn't give back the ride for just the failure at the end of the road.
Oh, dude, I would give anything to see Ole Miss in a title game. All right, let's get to our picks for the day. And Ev, undefeated yesterday, lead us off.
Killing it.
Same with college basketball. Small card again, just 4 plays. Georgia Tech -1.5. I got Michigan -7.5 a little early. I don't care. I love them. I think they blow them out tonight. I got Fresno State +13.5 at Boise. They've been a pretty gritty team. They actually just knocked off UNLV. They were 8-point dogs. Then
10, the South Florida team. I watched a lot of Houston. They beat the shit out of them. Memphis isn't great, but Memphis should fucking beat South Florida. South Florida's really bad.
All right, I went a little harder today, which I don't know. I'm feeling a little confident. Sometimes the pride goes before the fall, but we fine. I got West Virginia +4.5 against Baylor. Michigan by 7.5 against Illinois. I'm debating dropping that now that Illinois has got that guy back.
Io.
I always just mispronounce his name. Io, my bad. Now that he's back, I love Bama by 10.5. I really like I talked to y'all about earlier. I'm against y'all in Wisconsin. I took Purdue by 2. I took Michigan State by 3. I've got under 131.5 in Kentucky Ole Miss. These are two teams that just have real problems scoring, and they both play hard. Well, Ole Miss plays hard on D. Over 157, Vandy LSU, and in the NBA, I took the Celtics as a 4-point home dog against the Clippers. I took Milwaukee by 7, catching Denver on a back-to-back. And Denver, man, they covered last night. I had the Bulls +5, and that was pretty rough.
Yeah, it was tough. Bulls were winning most of the game, too.
Mm-hmm.
That was tough.
Yeah, but either way, we firing. This is kind of funny, though. Usually I've been doing the 5 and 6 game cards, and I've got like 10 today, so we'll see. But
I think that's where I fucking go bad is on Saturdays. I've been doing 2 or 3, and I've been really nailing them and even bumping the units like 2-star, 3-star. I start to give out the 5 or 6. Tonight's a 5 or 6. I just love them, so it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a big card tonight. What are you going to do? You got to give the board. If the board's singing to you, you got to dance, baby.
Yeah, TJ, let me add. I'm gonna add Baylor -4.5 because I said like them. I'm gonna add the Knicks -1.
You're adding the Knicks.
I'll add both those to the card.
You could put the Providence future on too.
Providence future. That's 25-1.
Rico,
40-1.
Yeah, 40 now. Crazy on the Barstool Sportsbook right now. It's 4,000.
Wow. So your deal. What other days we got you this week?
Tomorrow
and Friday.
Friday.
Okay, so we got Rico tomorrow and Friday. We kind of got different lineups in here every day.
60% puts me in the fucking Hall of Fame. If I hit 600 in baseball, I'd be a Hall of Fame.
Dude, you've been here for 3 presidencies, so I've been here for 3 months, so you're gonna see me in here every day, and I'm gonna be very happy to do it. Ev will be here every day as well. Also, Ev and I continuing to go on Clubhouse every day. I know you've been doing that too with Bench Mob, right?
Bench Mob on Saturdays, yeah, it's good.
I like it. It's kind of just like radio, and then we got that Barstool Sports room on there that's constantly doing stuff. Ev, we're going to do it at 2:30 again today.
Yes, sir.
Really enjoying that. Want to thank our production team. Thanks, guys. Zod, TJ, I appreciate all. Colby, appreciate all you
Great
guys
show.
putting up with this. We'll be back tomorrow, us three. Going to be throwing it down again on Pick Central. Stay tuned for the app.